Hey everybody, thank you for coming to my channel, D versus Debt. This is D, and I'm a college teacher turned college student for 1 year while I'm on sabbatical. So because of that, I'm on a tight budget and I'm going to be focusing on, sharing tips and ideas as well as tracking my journey of how I am surviving on a small budget. So for today, it is Tuesday, and even though there's nothing more wonderful and beautiful than Taco Tuesday, I thought it might be exciting to do a Tips Tuesday. Not tips where I am giving you money, that kind of tip. I don't have the money for that. I am giving you tips like, inspiration, suggestions, all that kind of stuff. So for those of you that are new to budgeting, I thought it'd be fun to show you if you want to dip your toe into electronic budgeting or digital budgeting, what's called pretty planning, things like that. I wanted to give you a free resource if you don't have the money or just don't want to spend the money on things like tracking your progress. So I'm going to be showing you how to use Google Slides, which is my new favorite thing. As a teacher during the pandemic, I relied heavily because I was teaching remotely on Google Slides. I used it for every class. So there are ways to create templates, and I will be sharing a template in the description box if you want to use mine. I'll show you how to make adjustments to make it your own. So this is just to give you an idea of how creating something digitally for free might help, motivate you, spark your motivation to keep going and to be better with your budget and things like that. So this is an overview of my month of August. So let me just kind of go over it real quick before I get into details about how to make adjustments. So I created a little section where it shows my no spend days, and that kind of helps me focus on like, wow, I've only had a couple of no spend days this week. How about I shoot for 3, and then the following week, how about I try for 4, things like that. So seeing these little boxes fill in is really helpful and really motivating. Every month it's also good to come up with a set of goals, and even though it's good to have goals, don't do too many and overwhelm yourself. So I find between 3 to 5 is pretty good. If you notice, for me, one of my goals is to lose 10 pounds, and you're wondering, well, what the heck does that have to do with budgeting and money? Well, food is one of my major expenses. I'm on a anti-inflammation diet, and basically that's an expensive way to eat. It's like seafood and nuts and fruit and seeds and that kind of stuff. That's expensive. It's a lot cheaper to drink soda and eat Cheetos and stuff like that, but to eat healthy food is unfortunately a lot more expensive. So as you've noticed, this little heart hasn't been filled in and there's no check because I haven't gotten there. Something came up that you're going to see in my monthly expenses to explain what's going on here. I already revamped my YouTube channel, so I colored it in pink and I put the check mark in. I brought my channel back to life. It had been dead for a couple of years while I was busy with other stuff, and then now I'm focusing on it again. And this month I did pay extra towards principal for my mortgage. I hadn't done that since March of 2020. If judging by the date, you can tell why. I went from focusing on paying debt to focusing on saving money, putting money away for emergency funds and stuff like that. So this month I started with $100. I have a plan to bump it up by $25 every single month. So starting with 100 in August, September's 125, October's 150, so on and so forth. So by December, it worked out to something like I would have paid off $750 extra towards my mortgage principal, which is awesome because the more you put towards the principal, the less you pay overall long term in interest. And so that's why I have this little box right here, because it makes me so angry every month when I figure out how much I paid in interest. So for example, this month I left it blank, but it would have been something like $150. And to think, I basically just threw away $150. What could I have done with that money instead of gifting it to the bank for interest? So that always makes me mad, and that's why I like to put that number in here and try to make it shrink every month by putting more towards principal. And then during the time that I was focusing on saving up emergency money, I realized I was going to be able to have a sabbatical year this year. So I created a fund for saving up tuition. I knew tuition was going to be $10,000, which blew my mind. I can't believe how expensive tuition is nowadays. The last time I took a college class was 10 years ago, and it was not as expensive as it is here. So in August, my tuition starting balance was $8,000. I had already paid $2,000 towards towards my tuition. And then in the middle of the month, I made another $1,000 payment. So I'm on a payment plan for my tuition because I didn't want to take out a student loan. Those things are evil. So I'm on a payment plan and I'm putting in a certain amount of money every month. So starting with $10,000, I'm closing out August with $7,000 in that savings fund. I also did the math when I knew I was going to go on sabbatical to figure out, okay, in the course of a year, how much am I going to have to pay for property taxes, car insurance, flood insurance, homeowners insurance, my car tags, all of those things. Added it up and it came out to $2,500 a year. So I focused on that year in saving that money so that now when I'm on sabbatical, I don't have to scramble to try to make those payments. So right now, as you notice, I haven't touched that money yet. It's just sitting there because in October is when I start bleeding money when it comes to this category. That's when my first round of property taxes are due. And then every month from there on out, I have a big bill due when it comes to my different insurances and my car tags and all that stuff. In February, I get a break. There's nothing due then. And then March, my other round of property taxes is due. And then I get a few months after that off. But I have that money sitting there waiting just for this. It won't be spent on anything else except for this. Mini emergency fund, I have $500 socked away in another account in case something comes up, and something did come up. So this is probably going to get wiped out this month, which is why I put this little question mark. Here's a new overview of this page. Now let me show you what it looks like blank. So this is basically what I call the naked page. I will be sharing the link to where you can have a copy of this document and then edit it to fit your own needs. But this is basically what I started with. So pretty simple. And Google Slides is so easy, you guys. It's free. You just create a Google Gmail account, and then you have access to slides and Google Sheets, which is, spreadsheets, and all kinds of other fun stuff. So the cool thing about Google Slides is that you can either just print it and hole punch it and put it in your binder and just write it in, pen and paper style if that suits you better. Or you can save it as a PDF if you're fancy and then use an app like GoodNotes, which is, I believe, about $8. And then you can use your fancy Apple Pencil to write in, your numbers and all of that stuff, and to add stickers and pretty things and all of that. So that's the first page of the template that I'm going to be sharing with you guys. So now let me just show you kind of how to edit it. So when you're in Google Slides, you have all these editing tools that look a lot like Word, basically. So for example, up here you would click and change the name to whatever it is. So you might say like August check-in, or whatever you want to call it. And then from here you can just go in and change whatever it is. So since I gave the August example, I'll just do that. And I'm going to fly through this quickly just, to give you an idea so you can play around on your own. But in this drop-down menu, there are so many different kinds of fonts to play with. So let's say, for example, you like Pacifico because it reminds you of a delicious beer. You pick that. You can change the size, make it bigger, shrink it, bold or regular, italicize, underline. You don't want it to be black, so you decide you want it to be green for money, whatever it is. It's so easy to edit. So if you notice in the little calendar box that I created, I started it on Monday because I do Money Mondays. I do week-by-week budgeting, and I started on Monday. So if you're triggered by that, you're like, no, calendar should always start on a Sunday. It's just super easy. You replace it you know, with the letter S for Sunday, or whatever you need to do. Another thing that you can edit, and let me change that, is the color. So if you don't like the fill, you can just click into there and you go up here to the fill color and you pick whatever color you want. So let's say you're into super neon pink. Well, now you've got a super neon pink one. If you were to have highlighted all of these boxes and selected that pink, it would have given you that color for all those boxes. If you wanted to color each day a different color, you can do that. You know, you just click into each individual box and put in your color for each one. Then you just go in and type in your numbers for that particular month. So you can edit this month by month to go with that calendar. And you have the option as well to, like, for example, instead of solid lines, if you want dotted lines, if that's your thing, you know, you can have all those options to edit with that. So lots of different ways to play around with that little calendar. Here in your goals, you can just, you know, type it to say whatever it is, like goals for this week, goals for the month, you know, whatever you wanted to say. And then you would put another text box in, and that's where you would type in your goals. And so what I would do is, let's say, for example, here's my first goal, and I want to kind of drag it to line up with my little heart. So you could do that goal by goal. For the little heart, it doesn't have to be a little heart. You're not stuck with that. But first, let me show you how I filled in the color, put in the check mark. So I clicked on my heart. When I had met my goal, I made it, let's do the super light pink color. And now that means I met that goal. So you can color code your goals, or you can also do like what I did, which was to insert a symbol. So you go up here to insert, and then you go to special characters, and let's see, I had to search check mark, I believe, or was it check? Here we go, it was check. There were 3 different little check marks to choose from, so whichever one strikes your fancy. I'm going to go ahead and go with this thicker one because it's easier to see. And then I X out of there. Now, as you can see, my heart has that little check because I met goal 1, whatever the goal was. Here again, this is just where I put my no spend days because that's what I was tracking on my little calendar. But you can just click into it and change it to whatever it is that you want it to say that you're tracking on that little calendar. Mortgage, same thing. I just typed in whatever I wanted in that chart. I started with this much at the beginning of the month, ended with this much. This is how much I put towards principal. This is how much I paid towards interest. So again, this you can customize whatever it is that you want it to say. I put in a quote box, and the word quote, just to give you an idea, it's like a placeholder. But what you can really do that's so much simpler is to go here to where it says insert, and then where it says image, and you can insert an image of a quote. So you can upload one that you saved onto your computer, you can search the internet for a quote, you can copy and paste the URL address to a specific picture that you found that you like. So for now, let's just do search the web. And let me go ahead and show you how to Google an image. So when you click search the web, you get this little thing now on the side of your screen. And you type in whatever you want to say. So let's say you're looking for budgeting quotes. And you just scroll around and look for one that stands out to you. Now, if this is your own personal sheet that no one's ever going to see, you don't have to worry about copyrights. So you can just pick whatever quote strikes your fancy and makes you happy. However, if you're sharing this or you're going to sell your template or whatever it is, you got to make sure that it's a copyright-free image. So to do that, you can do like budgeting quotes vector, but you still have to be really careful because there's still stuff that shows up that does have a copyright anyways. Or like budgeting quote free clip art, you know, whatever it is. So those are just some examples, but again, you have to do a lot of digging and make sure that you really did find something that has no copyright. So let's just go back because this is for personal use, and just say, okay, I like this very first one right here. So you can just click and drag. And now you're going to have to resize to fit your page. So let me put it off to the side first so that I can click here, get rid of that box because I don't need it. Click there, get rid of that box because I don't need it. And then I'm going to put this here and try to squeeze it into that space. Now if you don't like the fact, if you notice there's like a little thing down there, you can crop your picture. So you go up to the crop tool and it gives you this thing and you just slide up and crop out what you don't want and click out, and now that little piece of text is gone. And just like I did, with here, you can adjust the font, the size, what it says, the color. Let's say you have more than 3 sinking funds and you want to add more rows. Then you just click here. You go up to Format. You go down to Table, and you can insert a row, either above or below. So I'm going to say below, and now it gave me another row to work with. So that's how to work on that page. So besides being free and having access to all kinds of free things to make it pretty, again, I call it pretty planning. That's what people tend to refer it to in the planning community. Budgeting is stressful. So if it makes you feel better to make your trackers and all that stuff look pretty, go for it. Do whatever makes your heart happy, because remember, budgeting tends to make people want to cry and to get stressed out. So if it makes you want to go back and constantly check in on your budget, on your tracking, by making it look pretty with like this nice little quote right here, which I really love, by this washi tape that I found on a Google search, by this pretty little August thing, and all these pleasant colors, go for it, go wild. It's all free if you're the only one working on it and seeing it. So again, if that's what draws you to constantly check in on your budget and how you're doing, progress, then go for it. That's going to make you happy. So again, the nice thing about, besides being free, about Google Slides is that you don't have to hit save, which I love so much. Because let's say you're in the middle of working on this, like right now it's monsoon season in Arizona and the power goes out. You didn't just lose everything that you were working on. It's constantly like saving automatically as you're working, which is so nice. So now let me show you what I call my hot mess page, but it's my cash envelope page. So let's click onto that page. And this is pretty darn ugly. So I wanted to pick a crazy background to give you an idea of how to adjust your background if you don't want it to look like this. So on the blank template, this is what it looks like, but you can edit it however you want for your own needs. If you notice on mine, I included, whoops, I showed you the wrong page, I believe. Let me go back. Oh no, I didn't. On the next page, I included something extra. So I'm not crazy with this page. I need to figure out how to do it, but I wanted to show a wild and crazy background to show you how to change that. So if you don't want this particular background for yourself, just go up here to background, and you can either pick a color, like let's say you are into gray. So you choose gray and done, and now it's all grayed out. Or you can choose an image, and you can take a picture of an image. If you found it on a Google search, a picture that you like, you just copy the image address by right-clicking it, and then menu pops up. You select the one that says copy image address, and you would paste it here. You can go into your photos, you can go into Google Drive, or just like I did with the last time, you can do a Google image search. And then that's how you put your picture in. So lots of different options. But for me, I just went crazy with that dollar background. So let's say you make a change you didn't like and you regret it. You can just go here to the undo button, and it'll bring back what you undid. So I added some pictures. I added another quote that I found inspirational. So it says, to help you stick to your budget, take out cash for the categories you tend to overspend on and put it in envelopes. So I thought this was perfect for my cash envelope page. So I put my categories here. On the blank one, again, you just type in whatever you want. The reason I grayed out week 1 and 2 is because I hadn't stuffed envelopes in week 1 and 2. I started stuffing envelopes the 3rd week of August. And so this shows right here how much I put in. So plus 20 means this envelope got $20 for giving. I didn't spend anything that week, so I have a $20 balance carrying over into week 4. For this one, same thing. I had a $20 balance, and then I added 20 more. So this is what I'm starting week 4 off with, $40. And then at the end of the week, I'll figure out how much I spent and what my new balance is at the end of the week. Here I spent what I had put into my handyman envelope, so that's why I ended up carrying over a 0 balance into this one, where I added another $40. And here's where I'm tracking my bingo savings challenge. Started off by spinning 23, so I deposited that into my envelope. And then this week I did 2 spins that added up to $26 on my bingo wheel. And so now in that envelope I have a balance of $49. So again, completely customizable. In the thing the link I'll be sharing in my description box, you'll get the blank naked page, but you can put in whatever you want to customize it to your needs and wants. So let's go to the page of shame. This is where you take a hard look at everything that you spent money on. And this is what will really hurt as you're filling it in, but it also really opens your eyes to the way you spend. So the advice is that you should track everything you spend for at least 3 months to figure out your patterns, your habits when it comes to spending money. Doing this is what helped me realize at the beginning of my budgeting journey that I had a $100 a month Starbucks habit. And I didn't realize I was bleeding that much money into Starbucks, into my beloved chai lattes. So that really shocked me and opened my eyes. Like that at the time was my water bill and my electric bill combined. And I was drinking it every month at Starbucks. So doing this, again, is painful, but it's eye-opening. So I tracked everything that I put on my credit card. So you saw how much I spent in cash with my weekly cash envelope stuffing, and in that page that I just showed you with my cash envelope tracker. And this is what I spent that week on my credit card, and then this is what I put on my debit card. So again, I like to put quotes that inspire me. So this one says, the man who never has money enough to pay his debts has too much of something else. And that is so true. We tend to blow a lot of money on wants, not needs. And so a lot of times we have the house full of stuff, and all of that stuff used to be money. So you're throwing away money on all this stuff that you might not necessarily need. So that's why it's good to track. As you can see, I had a horrible week this week. This is not a typical week at all for me, because it came out to a total of $2,304.65 spent in 1 week. As you can see though, a big part of that was my dog's surgery. So I created a key, and again, you can customize your own key with the colors you like and the categories you like. But this key helps me see, like, wow, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 purple boxes. In other words, I charged 5 different things in that week for my pets. I only went to the grocery store once. That's why I only have 1 green box. So you can break it down further and add up how much you spent by category. So I had some pretty big bills pop up this week. Everything else is pretty normal. Like if you notice, I only spent basically $25 on groceries, which is great. For school, I only spent 33 bucks on a textbook that I found for cheap that I was so excited. Usually textbooks are like in the 100 and above range, so this was a great deal. This one was great. You're going to see me do a haul of, I only spent 76 cents on some free stuff in Amazon. I build up Amazon reward points. This should have actually been 0, but I messed up. I had a $3 coupon sitting there and I forgot to clip it and add it, but we'll get more into that in another video when I do my haul. These are my bills. So my bills were due. So again, not a typical week because I had my bills due and I had my dog surgery come up. But for the regular weekly expenses, I did really well. Again, groceries and stuff like that. I had an atypical expense. I broke my scale. So this is what I was referring to when I was showing you guys my monthly check-in page. I've been on a weight loss journey. I was doing wonderful. I had a goal of losing 10 pounds in August, and I was on track. I had lost 5 pounds halfway through the month, which was exactly where I should be. And then one day I stepped on the scale and it says I lost 7 pounds overnight. And I was like, what the heck? What was that about? So I thought, well, that's unusual. I didn't do anything, out of the ordinary. I did only eat once that day because I was super nervous about my dog's surgery. So I thought, was it that? Could it have been possible to lose 7 pounds? And I thought, no, I didn't get, I didn't go to the bathroom and make 7 pounds worth of waste in there, like output. So I was just completely stumped. So the next day I got on the scale and it was a completely different number. So then I stepped on it again like 5 different times in the span of like 5 minutes. And each number it gave me was off. And not by ounces, I'm talking about pounds. So I had to go and buy a new scale. So again, not a typical expense, but not a big one either. This scale is going to last me hopefully a few years. But this just helps you see like, oh lordy, this is how much I spent this week. I really need to rein it in for next week and shoot for a smaller number, which obviously in my case it will be because, surgeries and things like that aren't going to be a weekly occurrence. And then my debit card expense tracker. I have one bill that I pay on my debit card, my electric bill, so that's what I put on there. I don't like to pay with my credit card through APS because they charge you like $3 to do that. My Arizona Water Company bill is also coming up, but I put a little star here because I didn't pay it this week. It's going to be due next week, I believe, but I'm thinking of paying this one in cash because same thing. It tacks on like a $3 surcharge for paying electronically, but the office is literally like down the road from me. It takes like a minute to drive there. So I should just start paying this with cash. So I'm kind of leaving this blank for now because I'm wondering, should I just go back to paying in cash in office, which I had stopped doing, since March 2020. That's when I switched to paying electronically. But now I'm thinking I should just go back and pay in cash. The ladies there are super nice. They're behind glass, all of that stuff. So, I think I'm just going to stop paying the extra charge and go back to paying in cash. So this is what my page looks like, and on the template I'm sharing, this is what yours looks like. So if you want to, if you let's say have a lot more charges and you fill in this entire chart, you can just copy the whole thing and have a second page. So for example, up here, if you notice in this plus sign, you can add different slides, start from scratch and build your own. Or if you go up here to File, make a copy, selected slide, and oops, I'm actually building a whole separate one. So let me show you the other way. The way that you're looking at now would open up a whole new slide separate from this one. So I just want to copy this whole dang thing. So what I do is I'm going to click in a corner, drag it across, and notice how it selected everything. Then I'm going to right click and hit copy. Then I'm going to go here to the plus sign and I'm going to go down and select the blank page. Let me scroll so you can see blank right here. I select that one. Now it added a new slide. Now I right click here and I paste. But let's say that you don't want this to be your credit card expense tracker. You want this to be your debit expense tracker. So now you have that. And you can adjust the number of rows, the text, the color, the background, pictures, like how you see that I add quotes to mine, all of that stuff, and make it your own. So again, Google Slides is super easy to work with, super customizable, free, and it'll give you a chance to really edit everything to suit your needs, but also to make it, look nice. So it's really helpful to see visually where your money's going, how it's being spent, what your patterns are, where you need to make some changes. And then silly little things like this, being able to fill in these little boxes for no spend days, I find very satisfying. I used to be one of those kids that loved getting a sticker from the teacher. That was huge for me. So that I blame, as an adult, as a grown woman, I still play with stickers. So I blame that on my elementary school teachers that got me hooked on stickers. So again, just little things like that work. Silly little things like that are a great trick because they keep me motivated. So hopefully you found this helpful. Again, if you want to use the template to customize for yourself, I will be putting it in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.